Hey, what's up gamers? You got Tiger Chainsaw here, and welcome to another edition of Hidden Gems. Today we are looking at hidden gems for the PS2. Now these games I'm going to be discussing are the games that you have seen on the shelves at the retro video game store time after time after time. But you refuse to pay the $10 to $15 to get these games. And today I am telling you, these games are worth it. They are hidden gems that need to be played and put into your collection. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, or if you just haven't yet, make sure you hit that sub button to watch plenty of hidden gem lists and plenty of retro video game content. All right, let's dive into PS2 hidden gems. Let's kick this off with a horror PS2 game, and I think it could have been the first horror game on the PS2. That's going to be Extermination. Extermination was a game that I discovered as a kid on a demo disc, and then I later got it into my collection in 7th grade. And I couldn't get too far into it as a kid, but as an adult, I loved this game. You play as a Marine who is investigating a base in Antarctica that has gone silent, and you soon realize a lot of stuff is going wrong at this base. It kind of reminds me of a Resident Evil type game. It's got tank controls, but what I like about this game is that you can continuously upgrade your weapon by adding new stuff to it. Now the story is nothing to write home about, but the action and the way that you progress through the game is worth it. It's fun, and it's worth the $15 to $20 that this game typically goes for. It's an early horror title on the PS2, but it's not one that gets talked about a lot. Extermination is a lot of fun, especially the final segments of this. I remember facing the final boss for the first time and really enjoying this fight. If you've seen it on the shelf, pick it up next time and buy Extermination. Everybody knows the Red Dead franchise, but there's another Western on the PS2 called Gun that is worth your attention. Gun was another game from my childhood in which I got for Christmas. The story is pretty forgettable, but it's all the action that takes place in this Western that is tons and tons of fun. You make your way from city to city doing missions and progressing through the story, but some of the best parts of this game is on horseback. There are some open world sections that you can explore, and it's always fun mining for gold or finding some secrets that you haven't yet discovered. There's a lot of combat in this game, but my favorite weapon by far is the bow and arrow with dynamite attached to it. I blew up so many enemies, and I gotta admit, I blew up a lot of horses. I don't know what it is, maybe it's my sadistic side, but shooting the horses with the dynamite bow and then watching them run off and explode, well, as a young teen, I thought that was hilarious. And I guess it's still hilarious as an adult. Gun is a pretty gory Western, but it does deserve your attention, and it is a PS2 hidden gem that you can get pretty cheap.
I'm gonna run you down. Quick as lightning.
Let's talk about my favorite series on the PS2, and that is the Onimusha series. But I'm not talking about the original trilogy, I'm talking about Onimusha Dawn of Dreams. Yes, this is the stepchild of the Onimusha series, but that doesn't mean that it's a terrible game. If you go into this with low expectations, don't think of this as a continuum of the Onimusha series, although it is. Just think of it as a B-level rated game. The budget, I could tell, kind of got slashed for this one. It doesn't seem like the production and the animation and the cutscenes are up to par for the Onimusha series, But that being said, it's still a lot of fun, there's some great boss fights, and there is some tie-ins to the original Onimusha series. You may even spot some familiar characters. But the thing that I will always remember about this game, besides it being a 2-discer, is the final boss. The final boss fight was super long and there are so many phases to it. I think there's 7 phases to this boss fight. Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, while it's not up to the standard of the Onimusha series, which is phenomenal in my opinion, it's still a pretty fun game if you go in with low expectations. This is a hidden gem. This next entry goes out to all of you wankers out there. I'm talking about the Getaway. Have you ever wanted to play Grand Theft Auto just set in London? Well, the Getaway is for you, but it does some stuff to separate itself from the GTA universe. First, I liked the driving aspect a little bit more. It felt more realistic, and the way that you navigate around London, especially with the blinkers telling you which way to go, I thought was innovative. Now there's tons of shootouts in this game, and one of the best parts about it is the health recovery system. You're not going to get blown away and then just pick up health. You need to find a safe spot to rest, and then you slowly regain your health. The more you get shot, the more you limp around, you see blood stains. It looks really cool, and all the gunfights is really satisfying. There are times when you will pile up 15 to 20 bad guys in a warehouse. The cutscenes and the voice acting are also phenomenal in this game, and I learned a ton of UK slang from this game. If you want a GTA clone that is really good, the Getaway should definitely get your attention.
You are one lucky bastard.
Now this list would not be complete without a PS2 JRPG hidden gem. So let's talk about Magna Carta. I picked up Magna Carta because of the cover art and the female character designs. Can you blame me? Look at these girls. And I was delighted to find out that the game is pretty solid. I'll keep the plot spoiler free and I'll keep it short. Essentially, you are a mercenary that is part of a group that is kind of caught in the middle of this giant war. It's a war between 2 different races, and one race uses magic, the other one doesn't, and it's a big mess. And the only way to destroy the queen is to put together the Magna Carta, hence the title of the game. Now the combat in this is pretty good. It's not slow paced. There are action meters that have to fill up before you can move your character around the battlefield, and then it's not just passive attacking, you have to push buttons in quick time events to finish off the attacks. I thought this was a great way to keep the player engaged during these fights. Now Magna Carta is a long game. If you're looking for a long journey for a JRPG on the PS2 that's pretty under the radar, Magna Carta does a great job. I love the character interactions, I love the character designs, and the boss fights are well done. Magna Carta on the PS2 is a hidden gem.
Is that the best you can do?
Confession time, I have never seen any of the Godfather movies, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't enjoy The Godfather on the PS2. I got this game in high school thinking that it was gonna be nothing more than another GTA clone. And while there are similarities to GTA, The Godfather does so many cool things in this game. I loved building an empire block by block, shop by shop. It's really cool to go into all of these different businesses, extort them, and then make them yours. You do this throughout the game as rival families will also kind of attack your businesses, so you have to stay on your toes. You continue to climb the ranks, and there's so many different missions of driving around and Some of the best parts is driving, because you get to drive these old, cool cars, and there's a lot of combat while you're driving. It's really cool to see people stick their heads out the window, fire some guns, and then there's also kind of some hand-to-hand combat in this game. The Godfather. I haven't seen the movie franchise, but the game is awesome. The Godfather is a game you need to pick up and play.
Quick sprint!
Let's talk about a game that did launch a series, but I think this series as a whole is underrated. So let's start with the very first game. That's gonna be BloodRayne. I have to get this out of the way. The first level for BloodRayne sucks. So you have to get past the first level to enjoy an awesome game. In this game, you are a vampire assassin in World War II as you're killing Nazis, but you're not just killing them, you are decapitating them. You're slicing them limb to limb. You're sucking their blood. All of it looks awesome, and there's tons of different weapons for you to use. Yes, you have blades on your hands, but you also have lots of different guns to use, and you'll need them as you take on hordes of Nazis and you infiltrate their base and make your way deeper and deeper into this base, and you discover some supernatural things are going on. BloodRayne has a wonderful female character. She's one of my favorite protagonists. They do everything right about her. She's sexy, she kicks ass, and she's a female hero that I'd want by my side. BloodRayne is not just the name of this game. You will make blood rain from your enemies, and it's a lot of fun. As I said, get past the first level and you are in for a treat with this third-person hack and slash action adventure game that mixes a lot of elements together to create an awesome game that doesn't get talked about enough. Let's get to the weirdest game on my list. That's gonna be Stretch Panic. This game was developed by Treasure, so right off the bat, you know that this game has a good quality to it. You play as Linda, who's got 12 sisters, and they have all been possessed by vanity demons. It's gonna be up to you to save your sisters. Now, you were almost possessed as well, but instead the demon went into your scarf, and now your scarf is possessed, but that gives you superpowers to use with your scarf. So, what exactly are you doing in this wacky, weird platforming game? You're gonna be stretching stuff out. That's why it's called Stretch Panic. You'll be stretching objects out, and you'll also be launching yourself with your scarf to get across platforms. Now, the NPCs and the characters in this game are extremely unique. Look at these girls that are just walking on by you. And yes, this game does score bonus points because you can pinch nipples. This is one of the weirdest games on the PS2, but if you're looking for a weird game to get lost in the strangeness, Stretch Panic is one that you should check out. It's a little bit rough around the edges with the controls, but overall, it's a solid platforming game that's just full of weird, wacky things. You know what I haven't mentioned yet on this list? Is a first-person shooter, so let me put one on it. In fact, is this a first-person shooter with a good story? Count me in. I'm talking about Cold Winter. So the gist of this game is that you have been captured by the People's Republic of China and your records have been erased to avoid an international war. So, with no help from your government, it's going to be up to you to escape your prison. One thing that I love about Cold Winter is that it has ragdoll physics, meaning that when you plug your enemies full of bullets, they become all floppy. It's always fun to see how the bodies fall when you're done in combat. And another unique aspect about this game is how interactive the furniture is. If you see a table, flip it and hide behind it. If you see a door that's opened and you got enemies coming through it, put some furniture in front of it and block them. Cold Winter does a lot of cool stuff, and there's a lot of weapons to choose from in this first-person shooter.
Kim, I'm in the outer courtyard. Do you have a visual?
For my final choice of this video on PS2 Hidden Gems, let's talk about a game where Bungie and Rockstar teamed up. That game is going to be Oni. This is a third-person beat-em-up game focused on melee and guns. And when I played this game, it really made me think about what Fighting Force should have been. I loved Fighting Force as a kid. I enjoyed the first one, and then I played the second one as a kid too, and it was just a big disappointment. But Oni takes the fighting and beat 'em up mechanics of Fighting Force and makes it into a really satisfying and pretty good game overall. You're gonna have tons of different moves, there's combos that you can learn, and there's also plenty of guns to pick up as you make your way through the levels. Now, one thing I'll say is that the environments are a little bit bare, but when it comes to the combat and the bread and the butter of the gameplay, Oni's pretty fun. And it also has an awesome cover. When you're fighting, you're gonna be able to see that the animations are really smooth and well done. There's a lot of different combos to try out, so those that love beat 'em ups with a variety of fighting moves and combos, you're gonna love Oni. But I have to say, I think this game was clearly inspired by Ghost in the Shell, which isn't a bad thing, it's just something that I noticed. Oni is a great game for beat 'em up lovers.
Pinocchio, those syndicate troops are trying to remove evidence from the warehouse. I've scanned the truck and they've almost...
So that's my list of PS2 hidden gems for this video. Which one of these have you played, or which one of them have you seen 100 times in the store but you haven't picked up, but now you will? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this video, your thoughts on the hidden gems, and maybe drop me a couple hidden gems that were not on this list for me to check out. While you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to watch plenty of PS2 content, hidden gem content, and retro video game content. Thanks for watching, happy gaming, and make sure you play a video game today.